Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. My name is Jonathan Hughes and I'm the Manager of College Planning and Education at MEFA. And today we're going to talk about financial aid and specifically what is financial aid and what isn't. And we're just going to take 5 minutes to talk about that. This is really for you folks who have your financial aid award letters from colleges and you're sort of struggling to make sense of all the various items listed there. Some of those, probably most of those, count as financial aid, but there may be some things on that letter that don't. And we'll talk about why things are considered financial aid and why some things are not. So let's zoom in a bit on the 3 different types of financial aid. Those being, number 1, grants and scholarships. And this first type of financial aid is called gift aid, a grant or a scholarship, and it's the best kind of financial aid because they don't have to be repaid. They may come from the federal government in the form of a Pell Grant or a Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, or an FSEOG. They may come from the state, in our case, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So you may see on your financial aid award letter, or you may have heard of programs like the Mass Grant or the John and Abigail Adams tuition waiver. Those are examples of gift aid that come from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And also the colleges and university themselves often give out a substantial amount of grants and or scholarships. So I hope that you all have some, or hopefully a lot, of gift aid in your financial aid award letter. And again, you can tell that because it says grants or scholarships. These do not have to be repaid. The second kind of financial aid is work study. A work study is a federal program, and you may see on your financial aid award letter, if you were awarded work study, there'll be a few $1,000s, maybe $2,000, $2,500 of work study. And what this is money set aside at the college for your student to earn working a job on campus. So this would be like any other job to the student. They would go apply for the job, get the job, work the hours, and earn the money. And they would get paid in a paycheck, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly or however it goes. If the student doesn't go out and find that work-study job, earn the hours, they're not going to get the money, and that aid, that award is gone. So even though you may be awarded federal work study, you still have to earn it. So one other important thing that I want to stress about this is that if you see a work study award, whether it says at $2,000, $2,500, you don't want to deduct that from the balance due. That doesn't come off the tuition. So if your cost is $40,000, you have a grant for $20,000, and a work study award for $3,000, for example, the amount that you're still responsible for off the bat is still that $20,000. The reason is because the student has not worked the hours and earned that money yet. But that's work study, and every college does work study a little bit differently in terms of how they communicate their work with their work study students about finding jobs. So if you see a work study award on your letter, make sure that the student goes to the financial aid office and finds out what they need to do in order to be apprised of the job opportunities for work study students. Because as I said, colleges do it a little bit differently. And finally, we have student loans. So one of the most popular questions we get at this point is, why is this considered financial aid? If you have to pay this back, why is this financial aid? And this is where it gets a little confusing because not every loan is considered financial aid. And when we talk about student loans being financial aid, we're mainly talking about one specific program, the Federal Direct Subsidized and Unsubsidized Loan Programs. These loans are financial aid because, unlike other loans, the student is pretty much entitled to this loan by filing a FAFSA. They are not contingent upon credit approval, so there's no credit check necessary to be approved, which means that there's no co-applicant necessary. The repayment of the loans are deferred, meaning you don't have to start repaying until 6 months after the student graduates from college or leaves school. And depending on the financial need of the student, a portion of the loan may be subsidized. That is, the government would be paying the interest that would normally be accruing while the loan is in deferment. Also, there are numerous repayment options that are designed to make the monthly payments manageable for borrowers. And if you want to know more about those, there may be some things like basing your monthly payment on a percentage of your discretionary monthly income, or starting at a lower monthly payment and then graduating to a higher monthly payment. There are a lot of different options. You can find out more at studentaid.gov. And also the interest rate is fixed at a low 4.29% for this year. And for all of these reasons, these loans are considered financial aid. And for all of these reasons, MEFA advises that if you are going to be borrowing anything at all for college, to take these loans first. So of course the question then becomes, if these loans are so great, why does anyone take out other loans? And that's because there's a limit to how much a student is awarded in federal direct loans. It's probably familiar to you if you're looking at your financial aid award letters, especially if you have more than one, to see the amount of $5,500 between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. That is the freshman year loan limit. And as you see here, $6,500 for sophomore year, $7,500 for junior year, and $7,500 for senior year. So oftentimes families will have to come up with a gap somehow. There's a gap left, and families will need to borrow sometimes to fill that gap. And this is where they can turn to a private loan or another federal loan called the PLUS loan, which stands for Parent Loan for Undergraduate Student. The PLUS loan is a fine loan option, but it is not financial aid. And the reason that I want to make sure to mention that is because some colleges will put a PLUS loan on the award letter to plug the gap between the aid received and the balance due. So if you have a $40,000 bill and received $20,000 in aid, once you total up federal student loans, work study, and gift aid, some colleges might throw in a $20,000 PLUS loan to fill that gap on the award letter. But you should understand that this is sort of a suggestion as to how you can fill that gap. You weren't granted or approved for a PLUS loan because you actually have to go apply and be credit approved for a PLUS loan. So just because a PLUS loan is on the award letter doesn't mean that you were given this loan. And in fact, those features that make federal student loans count as financial aid are really not present on the PLUS loan. So even though the PLUS loan may appear on the financial aid package, in some cases, it is strictly speaking not financial aid. If you're in a position that you're going to need to be borrowing a parent loan or a family loan, I would advise you to compare your options before making a decision. You may want to ask the college or university if they have a lender list that they work with to get a feel for what's out there in terms of the various options. And it may be that you end up going with a PLUS loan. As I said, it's a fine loan, but it's better just to make an informed decision. So again, if you see that PLUS loan, know that number one, you're not obligated to take that out, and number two, you know, it's really not something that you were granted. You still have to go out and apply and be credit approved for that loan. And there are other options available if you wanted to shop around. So we don't have any questions at the moment, but if you're viewing this and you do have questions, you can call us at MEFA 1-800-449-MEFA or email us at info@mefa.org at any point, and we're here to help you out with this whole process. So I hope you enjoyed that and found that useful. Call us or email us with any questions. Thank you very much.